Welcome to Progress Over Perfection. This is episode 1, titled New Year, Same Mountain, New Path. Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Progress Over Perfection, a podcast where we focus on being 1% better every day. I'm your host, Tim Abuselman, and in this podcast, we'll explore topics that drive personal and professional development, leadership, mental health, and physical health, and the journey towards becoming our best selves. Today, I had a New Year's epiphany. It is of no surprise that today is January 1st, 2025, and many of us are putting on our workout clothes, running shoes, or opening journals, ready to tackle on our New Year's resolutions. Like so many others, I've kicked off my day with action. This is week 10 of my 24-week ultra marathon training program, and this morning I hit the mountain at 6 a.m. for a pretty difficult run. As I climbed, I found myself in a familiar terrain, but halfway through I decided to take a different path. I paused looking around and I had a thought. New year, new mountain, woo friggin' who? But my mind quickly corrected itself. It says, no, this is not a new mountain. This is the same mountain, just a different trail. This struck me as particularly powerful as a metaphor, because as for many of us, January 1st feels like a reset, a fresh start, a brand new mountain to climb. But in reality, our journey isn't starting over just because of a flip of a calendar. It's continuing. The mountain is the same one we've been navigating for years. But the key is, we've found new trails, new paths, and new ways to progress in our journey. I'm going to ask you for a second to think outside the box and reframe your resolutions. Because if we look at this perspective, it can be game-changing. Thinking about new paths versus new mountains makes goals feel a little bit more achievable. A new mountain can feel very overwhelming and unattainable, while new paths allow us to build on the progress we've already made. Take a second and visualize being at the base of any mountain you're familiar with. Look up to it in all of its glory and think, I'd like to get to the top of that. It seems unachievable. Or if you were to go to a grouping of trails that you've run before, and they're very similar, you know that you can hit that path and you can do it well. It's a lot more achievable when you think of it that way. And like I said, the truth is, the clock doesn't reset on who we are or where we're going. It's all part of the same journey. But here's the issue. Many of us, as New Year's resolutions, set rigid, all or nothing goals at the start of this year. For example, we might say, I'm going to work out every single day, or I'm going to eat perfectly starting now. First and foremost, these goals aren't very specific as to what you're going to do or what perfectly is. But they also give us the opportunity, the moment that we slip up, even once, we feel like we failed. The feeling of failure can lead to a feeling of discouragement, and often we just give up entirely. We're like, okay, well, I'll reset on Monday, or I'll reset in a week from now. And what we do is we never actually reset. I want to talk about something called flexibles, or the power of flexible goals. They're not like these rigid ones. Think for a second, what if we embraced a goal where instead of using rigid rules, we let, say, flexible goals that allow us to show ourselves grace? This is how we would do it. First, we would think in averages. Instead of saying, I'll work out every day, or try saying, I'll work out 5 days a week. This approach gives you flexibility. If life happens, you miss a day, you're still on track. You're not failing, you're adapting. I missed one this week, I'll hit 6 next week. Or, hey, I didn't hit the one on Wednesday, but I'm going to pick up one on Sunday. The second thing you can do is break these massive goals that we give ourselves for New Year's and break them up into bite-sized milestones. Big goals are important. You need to have, kind of what an end zone looks like. But they can feel overwhelming. If your goal is to lose 100 pounds, start with losing 5 pounds. Then work towards the next 7, and so on. Every milestone becomes an opportunity to celebrate your progress. This celebration will build momentum and positivity towards the ultimate goal. Lastly, let's focus on progress over perfection. This is something that I'm going to drill in many of our podcast conversations. Being 1% better every single day compounds over time. It's not about being perfect. It's about moving forward. Whether it's physical fitness, leadership, or even personal growth, small, consistent efforts add up to remarkable change. This will allow you to build momentum towards success. These strategies not only make goals more achievable, but positively impact your mental health, which I will tell you, without a solid foundation of mental health, any goal is going to seem unachievable. I focus on progress instead of failure. And when we do that, we cultivate a growth mindset. In my own marathon training, every day is tough. Some mornings, I don't want to leave my warm bed, but I remind myself that progress is the goal, not perfection. Even if I run a shorter distance or take it slow, I'm still moving forward. And it drives me to get out of that bed and put in the work. I'm not going to claim that changing your goals to this type of goal setting makes this easy. And it's not about ease. It is about discipline, mindset, but most importantly, grace. Grace is the most important thing when you're setting goals for you to develop yourself. You have to give yourself the opportunity to make mistakes without voiding the whole process. The key is setting yourself up for success by making your goals achievable and flexible, and celebrating every single step forward. Here's what I'd like you guys to do. Take a moment and look at your New Year's resolutions and ask yourself, first and foremost, are they realistic? Do they allow you room for flexibility and grace? Have you broken them into smaller milestones so you can celebrate the long way? If not, rewrite them. Set yourself up for success with goals that inspire progress, not perfection. And remember, every step forward is a victory, no matter how small. Outside of that, I really do want to thank you all for joining me today. I am excited to kick off this journey with you. It's actually part of my New Year's resolutions, is to start this podcast and start putting myself out there more. In future episodes, we'll dive deeper into strategies for achieving goals, training your brain to embrace challenges, and how to lead with intention and grace. I will also bring on guests to share their own stories of progress and leadership. Thank you for being here for this first episode of Progress Over Perfection. Together, let's embrace our journey, focus on growth, and become 1% better every day.